Hello world, this is B is for Build. I'm Chris. Right over there where you can't see is Oscar. Kyle's under a Lamborghini right now, worst places to be. And this is our 67 Mustang Fastback, previously known as a Bugatti, but that was a fake name because it's really an SLC race car. So we got a race car that was dressed up as a Bugatti that's now dressed up as a Mustang. And in today's episode, we're gonna be focusing on the highly anticipated, the much discussed custom fuel storage solution for this chassis. We're gonna be building a custom fuel cell that'll fit 10 gallons of fuel inside our mid-engine Mustang in a safe and comfortable way. We're gonna be mounting seats and continue to just really get this body welded onto this chassis the best way we can. That's what's in store for today's episode. Stay tuned. All right, first thing we gotta do is get back on our roll cage and get going on that. All right, Oscar got the two A-pillar bars in there now. So you can see they're kind of holding up the halo bar. Everything is just tacked in for the time being. Make sure we got everything exactly how we want it and then we'll fully weld it out. We still have the dash bar and then some reinforcements between the A-pillar bars and the dash bars soon to come. Today is one of those days where we're like, where do we get started? But we've narrowed it down and here's where we're gonna get started. So we're gonna be trimming away at this. We're gonna go like 45 down. Within this, captured within this railing here is a box rail just like this one right here. It's at a kind of weird angle, it slants down a little bit. But anyways, it's just like this right here. That's what we need for the stability going across the vehicle. So we're gonna gusset this down like this. And then we're going down, and this is all to gain room for the seats. We need the seats to be up higher, but not up as high as they were when they sat on this. So cutting down here, cutting across, and then when we get to the center section, we'll gusset back up. We're gonna be doing this on both sides. The seat rails will then sit on top of this and give us our seating position. Once we know our seating position, we can find out where we need to put our seatbelt bar, harness bar into the roll cage. And then that allows us to kind of get to the next step. But we have to do all this stuff before we think about taking the body off for the last time. So we're gonna go ahead and grab the saws, come in here, make these cuts and clean them up nice. Right, we made some more space here. You can see we cut this through here and then Oscar welded all the way through that seam. Eventually, we'll cap these little triangles, but we're a little worried about time right now, so we're not doing any cosmetic work right now that we don't have to. So now it's time to get our seat in here. We're gonna go an inch off of this because we have a seat rail so the seat can slide forwards and backwards. So we'll probably be an inch off of this. And then that will tell us where we can put our seat belt bar back here because those have to be, for the harness, has to be at a downward angle from the harness openings inside your seat, if that makes sense, or your shoulders, whatever's higher. So we're gonna go ahead and get our seats mocked up in here, show you guys the positioning a little bit, and start to figure out where we wanna put our harness bar. All right guys, I think we can say we have fixed the seating position. So let's just talk about a few things. There have been so many comments on the last episode, I just wanna address this. Steering wheel position, great. Leg room, I probably need to go forward a little bit to get to the pedals. I have lots of leg room, I have extra leg room. We have room to lean here and slide the seat forward and backwards, so that's great. Getting in and out of the vehicle, this leg is a little tight, reminds me of like my Lotus. It's just a little tight. And then this is just tacked in, so I don't want to put a ton of weight on it, but it's really easy to get in and out of the car. So yes, there is this bulkhead here, and we're gonna have to build firewall into the engine bay, and it looks a little weird, but it just looks a little weird. Functionality-wise, it's still really easy to get in and out of the car. So I'd say that's a small compromise to having our mid-engine Mustang. So now we've got our seat in here. I don't want to unveil the seats yet, so we'll keep them covered. And our harness bar is going to go pretty low. It's going to go right about down here. So we're going to set our level for our harness bar, mock fit our dash, and figure out where we want to put our dash bar. My mom told me I'm not allowed to build any more cars without windshield wipers. So we have windshield wipers. So we just spent way too much time figuring out dash bar positioning along with steering, shaft input, everything, and how that's all gonna clear the windshield wiper mechanism. But we got it all in there. It's all gonna work. It's gonna be pretty cool. Bottom of the windshield wiper bracket welds to the dash bar. Upper bolts into the standard spot. You can see the windshield wiper arms and controller arms are all in there right now. It's pretty cool actually. So we know where everything's gonna go. We're actually putting the dash bar basically back where it used to be. We're going to kind of go right over this guy. So we will either modify the old dash bar or make a new one real quick. Dash bar is still a work in progress. There's a lot of drilling. There's a solid aluminum block in here, and it's a long story. Anyways, almost done with the dash bar. Over here, Oscar has mocked up a few more bars. We're trying to get most of at least the rear structure of the car in place, like where we're gonna mount the body to and other things like that. That way, when we take the body off, we'll know exactly where it goes back on because it's all square right now. So this is my genius idea of having the rear rail support. So we're gonna eventually weld this body into here. There, and then what we're going to be able to do is build kind of a shelf off of here, and in the long run, hopefully before LS Fest, we're going to be able to make our rear glass detachable, more like a hatch. It'll bolt in and out, and then we can pull the rear glass out to service the car. The idea is this rear panel right here, the trunk lid, and that rear glass all could be removed. If you wanted to go in and service your engine bay and work in here at all, you'd have a nice opening without having to take the body off. We are also engineering this thing so you could unbolt the body and roll cage from the chassis and pull it all off. But to do that, there'd be a lot of firewall removal and wire removal, so it's a longer process. It's not something you'd want to do just for fun. So hopefully the rear glass as a hatch will be enough. So with that being said, we've got those two following these long straights here. That's in. Now we're working on rear bumper. Rear bumper is going to be real simple. We're just coming off of here. We're going to here. This is where the stock rear bumper bolts in. So this is going to be like a bash bar. We're going to have a double bumper basically. We're going to have this with a piece of roll cage tubing right behind it that it's bolted into. So Oscar's going to start working on sending those bars out, and then there's going to be supports from the lower, then it's going to tie into here, and then we're going to connect everything up to each other eventually. Probably not before we pull the body off though. All right, guys, so we got the dash bar in here. welded out these plates. Everything's tacked. It's not fully welded out. So the dash bar goes across here. That's going to tie into a bunch of stuff coming off of the front for now. Now the lower cowl has been trimmed. We tested the windshield wiper system. That's all good. That's all going to fit. And then you probably saw me cutting out of steel some inlay pieces. Basically what we're going to be doing is at a point like right about here, we're going to extend the lower cowl to meet up with the dash bar. I can't start welding and sealing all that up yet until the dash bar is fully welded out. And at some point on this build, there will be a point where we say, okay, as of right now, we're good to go to start welding the body to the cage. Once we do that, if the body needs to come off of the vehicle, the body and the cage come off the vehicle all at once. And that's just how it is. So we're not quite there yet. We're still planning on removing the body to do the full weld out of the cage. So that's where that sits. And my plan now is to continue working, building off of this front end so we can eventually have some front end supports out here. You can see I prepped some plates that are going to go here to mount some standoffs. Over here, Oscar's been doing his thing, and man, do we have a cool structure back here. This is our rear bumper / rear reinforcement area. So we got just kind of a traditional style rear bumper bash bar coming back here, double reinforced coming off of the chassis frame with these rails right here. Everything is all nice and square, and then you've seen our support rails that are going to support our rear glass, and then also the body's going to weld onto these support rails right here to keep our body all nice and square and everything. Now this is just really cool. It looks really awesome, and I'm super happy with the way that it's coming out. So Oscar has just 2 bars left to go, and then I think we're probably looking at removing the body. But anyways, the bars, we gotta chop these at the right length, and then the bars come from here and tie in right down to here on both sides. Oscar's rear supports are in for these, I don't know what we're going to call them, upper frame rail bars. Rear supports are in. Eventually a tube will run across here, and that is going to be what holds our trunk hinges. Trunk hinges for a Mustang are pretty high powered springy boys. Here they are right here. And you gotta really, it's a heavy duty mounting point because the trunk weighs a lot, the trunk lid weighs a lot, and those things are pretty springy. So we'll do one more crossbar that's gonna run across there, and then I believe that is it as far as actual tubular structure that's gonna go in the back. But we don't wanna do that too early until we can test fit our trunk and everything else like that. Up front, I've got the bars cut and coped for the offshoots. This one has a bend in it, as you probably saw me do on the time lapse. So we're going this way, and then we're paralleling the this line in the bulkhead. Really doesn't matter where these go. They just need to get out there so we can start building structure off of them. They're like arbitrary frame rails because you don't have an engine out there. So now what we need to do is pull the body off. Pulling the body off is going to give Oscar room to fully weld out the cage points, and then also make it a lot easier to build these rear supports. So what you're going to see us do now is we're going to pull the body off, build a couple more supports into the system. Seat belt bar, or the harness bar that goes behind the seat, the rear supports that come off of the rear main hoop, and then we'll get these front ones installed as well. What a beautiful cage we have built. Front supports are in. That's all looking good. Oscar got his the rear downshoots over here. We got the harness bar in. I mean, we're rocking and rolling. The one little section we forgot to do was right here. I'm not really comfortable just winging that without the body on, because if we get in the wrong spot on those, we're gonna just have to punch another hole through our dash, which wouldn't be cool, right? Let's do the best way we can. So there will be a connection between here and there eventually. You may have noticed in the beginning, I plan on having the fuel cell wrapped up in this episode, but the parts to build that just showed up today. So we've got five build days left before we have to have this thing on a truck to ship to LS Fest. Again, we're just planning on having the body on there so it looks like a Mustang and having it running and driving. So I think we're well within the time frame to be able to do that. It's not going to be a finished project. We're going to shake it down at LS Fest, make sure it works, drives well. We don't want to change anything big, and then we'll bring it back home and finish it out. So I think we're looking pretty good timeline wise. In the next episode, we'll definitely get that fuel cell done. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace!